Hello, I feel quite good tonight, so just generally watch it. Literally, in fact. In our wide-ranging program tonight, President Bush takes a fairly cool stand on the peace plan the Soviets have offered Iraq. Boris Yeltsin launches an amazing attack on Mikhail Gorbachev. The drought that's turning California into one big beach. And I'll be chatting with Australian actor after all these years, John Hargreaves. If he were American, would he find it easier getting a job in Australia? And we'll be having some music from boring Phil Collins. There's a man who did so well as guitarist in the Small Faces, what, in the late 60s, and he's now doing singing, and it's just inappropriate. But of course the Australian yardstick is he's laughing all the way to the bank, which of course is, you know, the way we estimate our fortunes in life. Well, the war still goes on. I still find it difficult to believe that it's Mr. Bush versus Mr. Hussein, President Hussein. I somehow remember there was some United Nations involvement somewhere. Perhaps I've lost the facts. However, it's believed that Iraq's Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz is about to return to Moscow with an answer on the Soviet peace proposal to end the Gulf War. It'd be nice if they had a fax machine. It would save a lot on his travelling. But US President George Bush is turning a blind eye to the discussions. He's not satisfied with the fine print.
The president won't say what's in the Soviet peace initiative to end the war against Iraq or what is in his response to it. But CBS News has learned there are several elements in the Gorbachev proposal which Mr. Bush finds objectionable. One example, no mention of a timetable for an Iraqi withdrawal.
Very candidly, and I've been frank with him on this, while expressing appreciation for his sending it to us, it falls well short of what would be required.
The Soviets were not pleased with the U.S. reaction.
That plan was addressed to the Iraqi leadership, and so he rejected the plan which did not belong to him.
And the continuation of the air war against Iraq made it clear the White House is keeping its distance from negotiations between the Soviet Union and Iraq. A presidential spokesman pointed out the Soviet Union has not committed troops to the Allied coalition against Iraq, and the U.S.-led forces will not be bound by Iraq's answer to the Soviet initiative. Still, congressional leaders who met with Mr. Bush noted he did not flatly reject the plan.
I don't think he's dismissing it. I think he's being very cautious. He doesn't want negotiations to stall it.
But Mr. Bush refuses to accept anything short of an immediate and total pullout from Kuwait.
There will be no concessions. Not going to give.
Well, that was a bit brief, wasn't it? I was sniffing. Thank you. I still don't know what's up to Mr. Bush. Perhaps I've missed the fine print somewhere. Now, there was considerable anxiety in the Dutch town of Roermond, where 4 alleged IRA terrorists are on trial for the murder last May, you might remember, of 2 Australian lawyers. Streets surrounding the district court of the town have been sealed off by up to 100 police officers, with passport checks applying at manned barricades. 24-year-old Stephen Melrose from Brisbane and 28-year-old Nick Spanos from Sydney were shot to death in the town's Market Square on May the 27th last year. The IRA admitted responsibility for the attack and said the men had been mistaken for British soldiers, which makes you wonder, isn't it a strange sort of honesty that people that use these sort of techniques would not remain quiet if they'd done that accidentally? It's a weird sort of logic, isn't it? We did it, but we didn't mean to, but we're guilty. Don't try us. Nobody lets sleeping dogs lie when it comes to politics. Federal police are to proceed with an investigation into the big postal bill run up by former National Party leader Charles Blunt.
Controversy over Charles Blunt's use of the parliamentary postal allowance surfaced late last year. Claims the former National Party leader spent more than $250,000 on mail in 25 days of the 1990 election campaign. At the time, Mr. Blunt said he'd done nothing improper.
All of this money was spent according to the guidelines.
But it's now been claimed that in letters to his solicitors, Mr. Blunt has left open the possibility his staff could have acted improperly. Federal parliamentarians had other concerns about their rights, claims that Westpac may have been trying to intimidate a key witness to the House of Representatives inquiry into the banking industry by seeking legal gags to prevent the witness, a former employee, from disclosing documents relating to Westpac-managed foreign currency loans. That's ended in court, with Westpac agreeing the man can give any evidence he likes to the inquiry.
I think it removes any suggestion whatsoever that witnesses appearing before parliamentary committee inquiries can be intimidated by any person or by any group.
Peter Harvey, The World Tonight.
Still trying to find out about the public servants in Canberra who possibly are avoiding sales tax. Hope to keep you posted on that, but not on Mr. Blunt's account. Oils are oils, whether they're in Australia or Alaska. The nice people trying to help seals caught in the slick off Western Australia have been taking some lessons from the people who helped clean up after the Exxon Valdez disaster.
In normal times, this is just another insignificant speck of storm-weathered granite off the Esperance coast. But now it's the centre of a dangerous mercy mission to save Mother Nature from man-made disaster. Even 40 kilometres from the Sanko Harvest wreck, big slicks of thick black oil still floated around the tiny island today. For scores of seal pups, it's a bewildering invasion of their once pristine colony. With their thick coats of puppy fur, it's the newborn seals most damaged by the oil. It's a pitiful sight. This one so distressed it can hardly move. Another too sick to run away from rescuers.
Stuff on your hands.
Marine vet Nick Gales was rushed to Seal Rock today. He's been talking with Americans who helped rescue sea otters caught on the Exxon Valdez disaster.
One thing we noticed yesterday afternoon is that they seem to be very hot, especially the flippers and fins and flippers and that.
One of the effects of the oil is it raises their metabolic rate, and on hot days they can get really hot.
Already as many as 150 pups have been affected on Seal Rock and Hood Island, and despite the hours of hand washing with detergent, some may still die. Back on the mainland, Environment Minister Bob Pearce arrived in Esperance this morning. He angrily defended marine authorities over their handling of the clean-up.
Well, I think Marine and Harbours have come in for a bit of unfair criticism over their handling of this particular matter. They run it absolutely according to the book. Now, it's easy for people to say someone should have acted faster, someone should have acted sooner, someone should have done more. People always say that, no matter what the circumstance is.
And he says any attempt to pump the oil from the ship would have been simply too dangerous. No one knows how far the contamination has spread or what effects the fertiliser will have. And there's still 100 tonnes of oil on the Sanko Harvest shipwreck. There's a salvage expert from Adelaide heading here tonight. His job will be to find a way to get the oil safely off the wreck. Carolyn Bertram in Esperance, World Tonight.
You've seen Bob Pearce. We went to school. In fact, Ian Cook, our news director, and Bob Pearce and I was going to say we all made it. That might be a bit of a presumption. Haven't seen him for years. Very bright man. Although he's in politics, so I don't know what went wrong, Mr. Pearce. Poor little seals. Well, when you're holding a war, there's more to dropping bombs on the enemy than meets the eye. There are different bombs for different jobs. One of these stories coming up shortly explains.